Hey, I'm looking today at Tedward by Josh Pettinger. And I read, this is, I think, the second thing I've read by Josh Pettinger. And I first encountered him via Simon Hanselman's comic, Werewolf Jones and Son Summer Fun Annual, whatever it was called. The, which I love Simon Hanselman's work. So that was the only time I think Simon Hanselman has let another writer artist handle his characters. I could be wrong, but as far as I know. And it was kind of a strange intrusion into the story because Josh Pettinger's art and style were just very different from Simon Hanselman's. Not totally different, but, different enough that, especially in the art, that I can notice quite a difference. And for me, it didn't really work at that time because I didn't know Josh Pettinger's work. But I was kind of curious enough. I'd read reviews of his stuff that got positive reviews. I wanted to check out something, of his own stuff and maybe a longer work. And voila, here we are with Tedward, which is, I think it's about 150 pages. And I think it just came out like in the last week or so. So let's dive in. It is a graphic novel, but it's kind of put into these little story arcs or short stories that kind of add up to a larger thing. So, I like the art. That's, even though for me his work in the Werewolf Jones and Son story, it didn't really work. Although, I don't know, if I reread it now, I might appreciate it more because, like I said, I didn't know his work and his style. But this is a Fantagraphics book, I think. I'm pretty sure. Is it? Yeah. And it's very much in the Fantagraphics style of both artistically and content-wise. The main character is this guy named Tedward, who's kind of like a lovable loser type character, and the art reminds me a lot of so many different artists. But I liked it. It's a nice art style, and as I went along, the stories as I kind of saw what it was building up to, it worked better as it went along. I think initially I was like, what is this story and what is the tone he's going for? And, there's elements of like Dan Clowes in here that's what I see a lot in the art, but also other artists, Seth, I don't know, just so many different artists. And I think he's British, if I remember correctly. So there's this, it begins with the Tedward guy getting a job at this kind of Eyes Wide Shut type party place where he has to hose the cum off people. So it's a very kind of a ridiculous situation that he's put into. I can see something like Werewolf Jones getting a job like this. So I can see his, I believe I've seen it. They have a channel, the Josh Pettinger and Simon Hanselman that they do on YouTube. Let's see. So yeah, there's this kind of zaniness to this character at Tedward who's like from another era, but he's living and facing the troubles of the modern world as he seems to be always trying to find a girlfriend or failing at it or and as it went along, like I said, I enjoyed it. Oh, okay, wait, I forgot about this. So I didn't notice it first, but at first I looked at this, I'm like, oh, this is just Josh Pettinger. But then the art looked a little different, and then I'm like, I looked at the bottom and it says comic by Simon Hanselman, and I'm like, oh. So this is just like Josh Pettinger did a guest spot or a feat on Simon Hanselman's comic. Simon Hanselman joined in on, and this style, as I looked at this more, I could see, okay, this is definitely Simon Hanselman's art and not Josh Pettinger. And I enjoyed this story too. I think it was the most recent thing that Simon Hanselman has released, if he's done it recently. I think we're due for another Simon Hanselman book. He releases comics pretty fucking dog. Sorry. This is my dilemma. Whenever the dog starts barking, do I stop or do I keep going? I'm going to keep going. Okay, so we switch back to Josh Pettinger doing the art and stories, and this is kind of a ridiculous storyline where he rents out TVs where you have to put quarters in for, I think, a half hour of TV. And yeah, so uh, seems like uh, Tedward might be having some luck in life. He meets a girlfriend, and it seems to work out well. But then, you know, it collapses in some ways. I'm going to avoid too many spoilers and just jump through this. But yeah, as I went on, I liked the characters more, and things you think are kind of throwaway characters and not really, just kind of part of the landscape, they show up again. And there's also kind of some very ridiculous, almost surreal storylines that I liked, and then this storyline comes along where it seems that Tedward's going to have a buddy, but he ends up. Well, I'll avoid that spoiler, but something nefarious happens, and yeah, we get this kind of spin-off story with this brother. This looks so Dan Clowes. This like I would think this panel was a Dan Clowes comic, and I don't mean that in like a bad way. It's nice. Yeah, I like the coloring here. Very simple tones, and we learn about this paper mache contest that Tedward takes part in every year. I have no idea what Tracy Island is or what. I don't think I'm sure I'm missing something, but it doesn't matter. I enjoyed the story. Colors are just really beautiful, though. And then at the end, they come across this guy, and it all comes together because it kind of loops back on an earlier narrative. Oh shit! I wanted to avoid showing that. Hopefully, you didn't see that. That was a bit of a spoiler, but then we get like a fairly surreal, very surreal episode in which things happen. But what I loved about it was that there's no dialogue for like, I don't know, 10 pages or something, and it's just very out there, and yeah, I loved it. And yeah, I'll avoid the ending and just say that that's the ending. And yeah, so Tedward, quite a read, quite a romp, and much better than I expected. Well, I don't know, much better, but just like, I think it had a different feel from that Simon Hanselman Werewolf Jones story that I read by him, because this is his own character, him doing his own thing, and yeah, it worked for me, and I like the format of these little short stories. I think he has another graphic novel or collection called, I want to say, Goiter, so I'll probably check that next. I think this has intrigued me enough. But yeah, this looks like a great place to start with Josh Pettinger, Tedward, and I think it just came out within the last week, so check it out.